Scholars often struggle with the timelines of the tribulation and the rule of the Antichrist because these may not be literal ticking clocks, but something much deeper, patterns meant to connect the prophetic events scattered across Scripture. The time of the tribulation, the rule of the Antichrist, and the ministry of the two witnesses appear at first to be strict timelines, but in reality they function more like a brilliant way of connecting the dots. And when we follow those dots, a clear pattern begins to emerge. Think about it. Elijah's ministry is marked by 3.5 years of famine. Then, in Revelation 12, the woman is led into the wilderness where God prepares a place for her, and she is fed for 1,260 days. Again, exactly 3.5 years, creating a connection between her and Elijah. After she gives birth to the boy child of Revelation, she is protected for another 1,260 days. The same period repeats, reinforcing the same prophetic rhythm. This 3.5 years ties directly into Daniel chapter 7, verse 25, where we read about the Antichrist. And they shall be given into his hand until a time, and times, and the dividing of time, describing the torment of the remnant for that same 3.5 year period. The two witnesses continue the pattern, prophesying for 3.5 years, 42 months, connecting them symbolically to the two bears that killed 42 youths who mocked Elisha. And since Elisha carried the double portion of Elijah's spirit, he represents 2, while the mocked youths point to immature believers. This number, 42, keeps appearing. Israel camped 42 times in the wilderness. Matthew traces Christ's lineage from Abraham to Jesus in 42 generations. Even the book of Job, though its chapters were arranged later, still ends up with 42 sections, each carrying a prophetic theme, linking the end-time Elijah, called the suffering servant, to Job's suffering and his restoration of glory and kingdom. Judges chapter 12, verse 6 records that 42,000 Ephraimites died due to a simple mistake, and many biblical scholars compare Ephraim to the United States. Revelation also tells us that Gentiles will trample the outer courts of the temple for 42 months, another 3.5 years. And here the pairing of Gentiles with the number 42 points toward Gentile Christians connected to Christ. The pattern doesn't stop there. The second temple, though built without the Ark of the Covenant, holds deep prophetic meaning for the third temple. And in Ezra chapter 2, verse 6-4, the number of returned exiles is given as 42,360. 42,000 is the prophetic number connected to Christ, and the 360 points to the entire world. Even though man may distort truth, God preserves his word through these interconnected patterns. What many scholars interpret as fixed timelines are actually prophetic connections linking the end times, the kingdom, the third temple, Elijah's role, the woman of Revelation 12, the tribulation, the United States, Gentile Christians, and the two witnesses. And one strong reason to see these not as literal timelines comes from Joel chapter 2, verse 2, describing the end-time army that is the boy child of Revelation 12 as a great and strong people. There has never been the like, nor will there be again after them, to the years of many generations. The phrase, many generations, reveals that generations will continue even after this greatest outpouring of God's Spirit in the day of the Lord. Job chapter 42, verse 16 adds yet another layer. After this, Job lived 140 years and saw his sons even 4 generations. Job becomes a sign of restoration and kingdom, raising the possibility that this could point to the number of years humanity may still have to wait as these events unfold. Subscribe to Prophetic Insights for more on biblical prophecies and prepare for the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Thanks for watching.